Your mind is remarkably good at moving on. You process, you grieve, you make sense of things that have happened, and you decide to let go of them. And then you do. You move on. But here's what I've learned as a holistic physician after 30 years working with real patients. Your body doesn't always get the memo. The experience ends, but the emotion, the actual energy of the experience, can stay. Stuck in your body, lodged in the tissue, stored in the system, running in the background, long after your conscious mind has closed the chapter. And this, more than your habits, more than your mindset, more than any strategy you've ever tried, is probably the reason you still don't feel the way you know you should. These are trapped emotions. And what I want to share with you today is what they are, why they happen, and what becomes possible when they're finally released. You've probably heard the phrase emotional baggage. We use it so casually, usually when we're talking about someone else, right? But think about what that phrase actually means. Baggage has weight. It has a physical presence. You carry it with you where you go, and the heavier it gets, the harder everything becomes. Here's what I've come to understand after decades of working with real people in real pain. Emotions aren't just mental events. They aren't abstract. You feel them in your body. A tight chest when you're anxious, a knot in your stomach when something feels wrong, a heaviness you wake up with that you can't quite name. I call these trapped emotions. And they are the single most overlooked cause of suffering I have encountered in over 30 years of practice. Now, I know that may sound odd to some people, and I want to speak to the skeptics directly because I was trained as a scientist and I want things to make sense. So let me show you why this isn't abstract. Everything in the universe is made of pure energy, really. The chair you're sitting in, the air in this room, your hand, and your body at its most fundamental level is energy too. Organized, vibrating, constantly in motion. Now, emotions are no different. Every emotion has its own vibrational frequency, its own energetic signature. When we experience an emotion, the whole body responds. Electrical signals fire, hormones shift, heart rate changes, breathing alters. Modern science confirms what ancient healers understood thousands of years ago. Every emotion is a full body event. The ancient Chinese physicians understood this so clearly that they mapped exactly which organs produced which emotions. Grief is connected to the lungs, fear to the kidneys, anger to the liver, and so on. Now, we still carry echoes of this ancient understanding in our everyday language without even realizing it. We talk about a broken heart. We talk about how you can be sick with worry. We talk about a gut feeling. These aren't poetic expressions. They are primitive, accurate descriptions of real physical events happening inside you. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork and hold it near another of the same frequency, the second one will begin to vibrate without being touched, just from being in proximity to the first one. That's what we call resonance. And your body works the same way. When you have a trapped emotion lodged somewhere in your body, grief, resentment, fear, whatever it may be, that emotion is vibrating at its own frequency, continuously in the background. And what happens? Well, anytime life presents you with a situation that even slightly resembles the original experience, your whole system falls into resonance with that trapped energy almost instantly. It's like part of you is already there, already grieving, already afraid, already angry, already depressed. And that's why people find themselves reacting in ways that feel out of proportion. Why the same emotional patterns keep repeating over and over for people. Why certain situations hit harder than they should. It's not weakness. It's not a character flaw. Part of your body is already resonating with that emotion, just waiting for something to light the fuse. Now, what's more, that stored energy doesn't just affect how you feel emotionally. Over time, the tissue where a trapped emotion is lodged begins to be influenced by that vibration. And this is where physical symptoms can start to appear. I'll never forget a woman who came to see me many years ago. I'll call her Debbie. She came into my office one day with what felt like heart attack symptoms: chest pain, numbness in her left arm and face, difficulty breathing. Her vital signs were normal, but something was clearly wrong. When I worked with her, what we found wasn't a structural problem. It was a trapped emotion of heartache, stored in her body from 3 years earlier when her husband had been having an affair and she suddenly found out about it. The news was devastating to her. She spent a year in therapy dealing with the aftermath, divorced him, of course, and in fact, she'd even recently gotten remarried. So as far as she was concerned, that was all in her past. She genuinely believed she had moved on. And she had, but her body hadn't. Her body hadn't finished processing what had happened, and that energy was stuck in her body still. The moment I released that trapped heartache, the feeling came back into her arm, the numbness in her face cleared, the chest pain was gone. She left the office feeling completely fine. I was astonished, but since then I've seen variations on that story hundreds of times. Your body holds what your mind believes it has already moved past. But here's the part most people don't see coming. Trapped emotions don't just affect the body. They shape who you believe you are. Think about it this way. If you're carrying a trapped emotion of anger, something stored from an experience years ago, what happens day to day? Well, you might find yourself getting irritated more easily than you want to, reacting faster than feels right, holding on to things longer than you know you should. And after a while, you stop questioning it. You just start believing, this is how I am. I'm an anxious person, or I'm a depressed person, or I'm just sensitive, or I'm just wired this way, or I'm just wired way too tight and I don't know why. But what if it's not you? What if it's something stored in you that was never released? I believe we are divinely designed to heal. I believe the body's innate intelligence is always working toward wholeness. But trapped emotions can stand in the way of that for years, even decades. The good news is this: what got stored can be released. If you've been feeling stuck in your body, your emotions, your relationship, your love life, your life itself, I want to offer you a different way to see it. You're not stuck because you haven't tried hard enough. You're not stuck because something is wrong with you. You are not your emotional baggage, but you probably are carrying emotional baggage, and that can be baggage that your body took on in the past that you might not even be aware of during moments that were simply too much to fully process. Something that has been running in the background ever since. And here's what I know after working with thousands of people across more than 3 decades. When that something is finally identified, when that emotional energy is released, people don't just feel better, they feel different at a level they often can't fully put into words. Anxiety that felt permanent begins to loosen and go away. Pain that had no explanation is sometimes gone immediately. Emotional patterns that seemed hardwired begin to soften, not because they tried harder, but because something shifted at the level where it was actually being held. The question I get asked most after people begin to understand this is, how do I actually find what I'm carrying? And how do I release it? And that's exactly what the next video is about. I'm going to walk you through the process I've used with patients for over 30 years, how to identify trapped emotions and how to begin releasing them using the emotion code. So if something in this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself somewhere in what I described, that recognition is meaningful. It means you're already closer to understanding what's actually been in your way. So I'll see you in the next video.